What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Forex Funded coming at you with another weekly analysis for this upcoming week, July 27th to August 1st. As always, links will be in the description. Instagram, chart analysis service, receive all my analysis in time, my trade entries, and more. So, getting right into things. Last week, we were expecting some bullish price action. However, we didn't get exactly what we wanted. We were expecting a nice big break of 34.15. Unfortunately, we did not get that. 34.15 being one of our major range points showed some tremendous resistance. So, with that being said, let's take a look at what's happened in the past first, right? So, prior to last week, we had 3 times where we tested that same range point. All 3 of them resulted in a big bearish downward push. Overall, this has just been one massive consolidation phase since, April 22nd. At some point, we will break out hard towards, 4,000, or we'll end up breaking the low down here and come back towards, low 3,000s, probably a lot lower if that were to happen. That's not really my view. But speaking on the range point, you can see that range point was rejected, and then we came down towards the next lower range point, the major range point. Range point rejected, all the way down to next major range point. Range point rejected, all the way down to next major range point. Range point rejected, coming down, right? Are we going to see a full range point to range point? I'm not really sure yet, right? So prior to us rejecting like crazy, I was thinking that a nice 61% would be nice. Prior to that, we hadn't pulled back on this bullish leg, right? Obviously, this fib is now invalid. We haven't given really much rejection from any of them. If you are a scalper, you would have been able to take like a nice little 61 entry for like 100, 200 pips. But that's not us. But this fib is still valid from the prior higher, lower. I'm sorry, my brain just completely messed up. This fib is still valid from the prior higher low, right? If you're looking at this as a bullish leg, a pullback, and then a push to the upside, that fib is still valid. I will say, though, it would have been much nicer if we would have made a fresh higher high, right? That's a first red flag that this 61 area might not play out, right? We do have 61, we have bullish trend line, and we do have our daily 50 EMA. So that's why I still do have that zone marked up. It's a 3 confirmation zone. If we do get a nice rejection from that level, I would look to take a possible buy, right? On the contrary, like I said, red flag. I'm not a big fan of how this did not break higher, right? You don't need to use a fib in a trending market, meaning it's not invalid because we didn't break higher. It just would have been a lot juicier if we did make a fresh high. But on the contrary, if we do just break below that, you do have that minor 786 level, which is in line with a minor range point. You could see some kind of reaction there. But me personally, I would say that if we just destroy 61%, it's more likely that we come towards 32.55. Then at the same time, if you were to pull that same fib and make it the entire range of the consolidation, you can see that we end up having our big 61 right around that same level. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect with the 32.55, but you can see in the past when we have touched it, it hasn't ever really been a perfect bounce, right? This is a good example of a perfect bounce, but even then it bled lower all the way to 32.45. So if we come, within what I'd say 40 pips of it, so that would be 32.46. 32.46, and then make it 38 here. If you come and you get a nice rejection from that level, I would look to buy, right? Those would be my two main buying zones for the week. You can see based off of past price action that it is possible for you to bleed lower, right? You have the three other minor range points. You have good respect for minor range point here. Good respect, but then you retest the major range point and end up falling lower. You could see something like this happen. Not really sure. I personally am still very bullish on gold. I do believe that we are going to see rate cuts within the next 2 months. So either this coming week or possibly September. One of those FOMC meetings, I do believe we're going to cut rates. Rate cuts are bullish for gold. Me, I'm a long-term gold bull. I'll say it here. I'll say it again. There are not many times in this chart that goes all the way back to 1998 that you have a true bearish market. For me, none of this is bearish except for right here, where you have a period of long-term sells, right? Which was from 2011 to 2016, right? That's fine. No one says that gold can't be bearish. I just say 9 out of 10 times bullish. You will, obviously, it's not just going to be straight bull all the time, which, to be fair, we have had straight bull for the past year. So at some point, we might want to get a big correction. I don't believe it's time for that yet. But if you see here, you have big consolidation. You have probably a year and a half worth of consolidation from here to when you break out, which is here. Yeah, you have multiple years. You have 4 years of consolidation. And in which, yes, there are times where you will have a bearish market on a lower time frame. But I'm speaking in terms of long-term swing, big swing positions. I don't expect us to see something like this happen here. It could happen, and that's fine. We adjust and we adapt. Going down here to the 4 hour, you're not really going to see anything that's any prettier than what we have. But I am expecting price to eventually come back to the upside. I don't know if it's going to happen from that 61. I don't know if it's going to happen from the bigger 61. I don't know if both of those levels are just going to get trashed and we have some quote-unquote random zone. Obviously, it wouldn't be random. There would be a reason for price reversing at a level. Maybe we don't understand it at this time. Maybe when it does happen for the reversal, we do understand it. But that's what I'm looking at for this week. On the contrary, right, since we are saying it looks like we're going to probably open up with some sells for the week, we could mark some potential sell levels, right? So this is our high, right? And this was our beginning of pullback, right? So this is where I would start using my fib from on my mini fib, where we had that pullback, right? So here I would be looking for the golden zone, 61 to 50%. If we got a rejection from that level, also a key level, 3350 key level. I would say, possible sells from that level if we get there. But at the same time, you do need to take note of the big fib. This big fib, I probably wouldn't really expect a 60 to 51. I would look for more of like a 38 here, just because of the length that it is. So I'll mark up that 38 as well. Any of those two levels, you would be able to look for sells with proper price action. And as always, right, if we take any sells, any updates to the chart are always sent in the chart analysis, right? It's on Discord, link in the description. But for me, my main focus, if I have to say, is going to be waiting for proper buys, right? I'm not going to stress myself out if I don't catch a sell. That's okay. If price opens up, comes a little bit up but doesn't tap that first zone, that's fine. As long as at either this zone or this zone, even possible that little 7-8, as long as I'm able to catch a nice little buy, I'm chilling, right? I'm not gonna stress myself out over a move that is already, I would say, at least half of the way over, right? Maybe it's not half of the way over. Maybe I'm just, not seeing this one correctly. But as always, don't beat yourself up over missing a trade, right? If you have a big apple pie in front of you, you don't have to eat the whole apple pie to have a piece of pie. You get what I'm saying? Just because you have a big move like this, you don't have to trade from the exact top to the exact bottom. You can take pieces and you can still make yourself nice and full. Now, with that being said, my friends, hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you guys all have a wonderful week in the market. And as always, if you need that extra bit of assistance, that extra bit of confirmation, or even those entry signals, check the chart analysis in the description. Come join the family. Hope y'all have a wonderful week.